If I told you one of the most hated villains in anime was actually the one who sacrificed the most, you probably wouldn't believe me. Because for years, Itachi Uchiha was seen as nothing more than a cold-blooded killer, a traitor who slaughtered his entire clan without hesitation, leaving behind only one survivor, his little brother, a man who chose power, darkness, and betrayal over family. At least, that's what everyone thought. But what if everything you knew about Itachi was a lie? What if the massacre wasn't an act of hatred, but an act of sacrifice? What if the villain of this story was actually protecting the very people who condemned him? And what if the person he hurt the most was the one he loved more than anyone else? Because the truth behind Itachi Uchiha isn't just tragic. It completely changes how you see the entire Naruto story. This isn't the story of a villain. This is the story of a child forced to choose between his family and the world, a prodigy who carried a burden no one else could, and a brother who chose to be hated so someone else could live free. This is the truth behind Itachi Uchiha. Itachi Uchiha was not born into peace. He was born into war. From the very beginning, his life was shaped by violence, loss, and the harsh realities of the shinobi world. While most children his age were learning basic ninja techniques, Itachi was witnessing the aftermath of battlefields soaked in blood. His father, Fugaku Uchiha, a respected leader within the clan, exposed him early to the responsibilities and expectations of being an Uchiha. But what Fugaku saw as preparation, Itachi experienced as trauma. This early exposure planted the seeds of a mindset far beyond his years. Unlike other prodigies, Itachi's intelligence was not just measured in skill, but in emotional awareness. He didn't just understand combat, he understood consequence. The sight of death didn't inspire glory in him, it inspired fear of what the world could become if nothing changed. While others sought strength to dominate, Itachi sought strength to prevent suffering. This difference made him an anomaly, even within his own clan. It was clear from a young age that Itachi did not think like everyone else. His rapid rise through the ninja ranks only reinforced how different he truly was. Graduating early from the academy and becoming an Anbu member at an incredibly young age, Itachi was praised as a once-in-a-generation genius. However, with each achievement came deeper involvement in the hidden conflicts of the village. He wasn't just completing missions, he was seeing the political tension brewing beneath the surface. The Uchiha clan, despite their power, were growing increasingly isolated from the village leadership, and Itachi stood directly in the middle of that divide. What made Itachi's situation even more complicated was his loyalty. He loved his clan deeply, especially his younger brother Sasuke. At the same time, he believed in the greater stability of the Hidden Leaf village. This created a conflict that no child should ever have to face. He was forced to choose between family and peace, between loyalty and survival. And as tensions escalated, that choice became inevitable. By the time most people begin to understand the world, Itachi had already concluded that the shinobi system itself was broken. He saw hatred as a cycle that repeated endlessly, fueled by revenge and pride. This realization didn't make him bitter, it made him calculated. Every action he would take from this point forward would be guided by one goal: preventing large-scale conflict at any cost, even if that cost meant sacrificing everything he loved. And soon that exact situation would present itself. As Itachi grew older, the tension within the Uchiha clan reached a breaking point. The clan felt oppressed, marginalized, and excluded from the true power structure of the village. Fugaku and other leaders began secretly planning a coup d'etat, one that would overthrow the leadership of Konoha. To them, it was justice. To Itachi, it was the beginning of a civil war that would weaken the village and invite destruction from outside enemies. He understood something most others did not. Internal conflict would lead to total collapse. Itachi was placed in an impossible position when he was recruited as a double agent. The village elders, including Danzo, saw his loyalty to the village and used it to their advantage. They tasked him with spying on his own clan while still reporting back to the Uchiha leadership. This dual role slowly began to crush him psychologically. Every conversation, every meeting, every interaction became a lie layered on top of another lie. He was no longer living as a son or a brother. He was functioning as a weapon. The deeper Itachi got into this role, the clearer the outcome became. There was no peaceful resolution in sight. Negotiations had failed, trust had eroded, and both sides were preparing for conflict. Itachi realized that if the coup happened, it wouldn't just be the Uchiha who suffered. The entire village would be thrown into chaos, likely leading to another great ninja war, and in that war, countless innocent lives would be lost. He began to understand that the only way to prevent that future was through an unthinkable act. Danzo presented Itachi with a solution that would define his entire legacy. Eliminate the Uchiha clan, and in return, Sasuke would be spared. It was a cruel and calculated offer, one that forced Itachi to weigh the lives of many against the life of one. But for Itachi, Sasuke was not just one life. Sasuke represented hope, innocence, and the possibility of a different future. Protecting him became the one personal desire Itachi allowed himself to hold on to. In that moment, Itachi made the decision that would turn him into one of the most hated figures in the ninja world. He chose to carry the burden of hatred alone. He chose to become a villain in the eyes of everyone he ever cared about. And most importantly, he chose to sacrifice his own humanity for what he believed was the greater good. The massacre was not an act of rage. It was an act of calculated tragedy. And once it began, there was no turning back. The night of the Uchiha massacre was not chaotic. It was precise. Itachi moved through his clan with a level of efficiency that only someone of his caliber could achieve. There was no hesitation in his movements, but that didn't mean there was no emotion. Every step he took was weighed down by the reality of what he was doing. These were not enemies. They were family, friends, and people who had watched him grow up. Yet he carried out his mission without breaking. He was not alone in this act. Obito Uchiha assisted him, ensuring that the operation would be completed without resistance. Together they wiped out one of the most powerful clans in the village in a single night. But while Obito operated from a place of ideology and revenge, Itachi operated from necessity. This difference is critical to understanding who Itachi truly was. He did not enjoy this, and he did not justify it emotionally. The most painful moment of that night came when Itachi faced his parents. Fugaku, understanding the situation, chose not to fight back. Instead, he acknowledged Itachi's strength and accepted his decision. This moment was not one of hatred, but of tragic understanding. Itachi was forced to kill the very people who raised him, knowing they understood why he was doing it. That level of emotional burden is something almost no character in anime carries. But the final piece of his plan involved Sasuke. When Sasuke arrived, Itachi needed him to believe a lie. He needed Sasuke to hate him. Using genjutsu, he forced Sasuke to relive the massacre over and over again. This wasn't cruelty for the sake of cruelty, it was intentional. Itachi wanted Sasuke to grow stronger through hatred, to one day surpass him. In his mind, Sasuke would become the hero who avenged the clan. By the end of that night, Itachi had destroyed everything he once knew. He left the village not as a hero, but as a criminal. Branded a traitor, hunted by the very people he protected, he stepped into the shadows. From that moment forward, his life would be defined by secrecy, sacrifice, and silence. The truth would remain buried, and Itachi would carry it alone. That was the role he chose, and the burden he accepted. After the massacre, Itachi joined the Akatsuki, one of the most dangerous organizations in the ninja world. To outsiders, this confirmed what everyone believed, that he had truly fallen into darkness. But in reality, Itachi was still serving the Hidden Leaf Village from within enemy lines. He acted as a spy, feeding information back while maintaining his cover. Every mission he carried out had to reinforce the illusion that he was a ruthless criminal. This required him to suppress any trace of his true self. Within the Akatsuki, Itachi quickly established himself as one of the strongest members. His intelligence, composure, and overwhelming abilities made him a respected and feared figure. Yet despite this, he avoided unnecessary killing whenever possible. He operated with restraint, always thinking several steps ahead. This contrasted sharply with other members who embraced chaos and destruction. It was another subtle indicator that Itachi had not truly lost his moral compass. His encounters with Sasuke during this time were carefully orchestrated. Each meeting was designed to push Sasuke further down a path of growth. Itachi allowed himself to be seen as the ultimate obstacle, the final goal Sasuke needed to reach. He provoked him, belittled him, and reinforced the narrative of hatred. But behind all of it was a calculated plan. Itachi was shaping Sasuke into someone strong enough to survive in a brutal world. At the same time, Itachi was slowly dying. His illness, combined with the strain of using his Mangekyo Sharingan, was taking a toll on his body. He knew his time was limited. This added urgency to his plan. Everything he had set in motion needed to come to completion before his death. There would be no second chances. Despite everything, Itachi never sought redemption. He never tried to clear his name or reveal the truth. In his mind, the role of villain was necessary. Someone had to carry the hatred so that others could live without it. And if that someone had to be him, then so be it. This mindset is what truly defines Itachi Uchiha, not as a hero or villain, but as something far more complex. The final battle between Itachi and Sasuke was not just a fight, it was the conclusion of years of planning. Every move Itachi made was intentional, guiding the fight toward a specific outcome. He pushed Sasuke to his limits, forcing him to grow in real time. But despite his overwhelming power, Itachi never fought to win. He fought to lose in a way that would benefit Sasuke. This distinction changes everything about how the battle is perceived. At the climax of the fight, Itachi approached Sasuke not as an enemy, but as a brother. With his final strength, he tapped Sasuke's forehead, a gesture from their childhood. It was a moment of pure emotion, breaking through years of deception. In that instant, Itachi died, leaving Sasuke with more questions than answers. The hatred that had driven Sasuke for so long was suddenly without direction, and the truth had yet to be revealed. When the truth finally came out, it shattered everything Sasuke believed. Learning that Itachi had sacrificed everything for the village and for him changed the entire narrative. The man he hated most was actually the one who loved him the most. This revelation didn't bring peace, it brought even more pain. Sasuke now had to reconcile the reality of Itachi's actions with the lie he had lived his entire life. Itachi's legacy is one of contradiction. He is both a mass murderer and a protector, a villain and a hero. His story forces viewers to question the nature of morality within the shinobi world. Was he right to make the decision he did? Was there truly no other way? These questions are what make his character so powerful and enduring. In the end, Itachi Uchiha represents the ultimate sacrifice. He gave up his reputation, his relationships, and his life for a version of peace he would never get to experience. He chose to be hated so that others could live without conflict. And even in death, his actions continued to shape the world around him. That is why his story resonates so deeply. Because at its core, Itachi was not just a shinobi, he was a man who carried the weight of the world alone. At the end of the day, Itachi Uchiha isn't a character you can easily define. He's not just a hero, and he's definitely not just a villain. He's a reminder of what happens when someone is forced to carry a burden that was never meant for one person. A man who made the hardest decision imaginable. and then lived with the consequences in silence. And maybe that's why his story hits so hard. Because deep down, Itachi didn't want to be remembered as a savior. He didn't want recognition, or forgiveness, or even understanding. All he wanted was for his brother to live, to grow stronger, and to find his own path, even if that path meant hating him forever. That's the kind of sacrifice most people can't even begin to comprehend. And when you really think about it, the question isn't whether Itachi was right or wrong. The real question is, what would you have done in his place? Would you protect your family, even if it meant destroying everything else? Or would you protect the world, even if it meant losing the people you love most? Because Itachi didn't get to choose both. If you made it this far, you already know this wasn't just another anime story. So if you want more deep dives like this, breaking down characters who are way more than what they seem on the surface, make sure you subscribe to Bio Unlocked. And let me know in the comments, who should I break down next? Because there are a lot more stories like this and we're just getting started.